Hello and welcome to Rockies Recap. My name is Steven. Right there is the co-host Tom. Tom, how are you doing? And have you seen Twisters yet?
To your answer, I've seen Twister many times.
Mhm.
Twisters, no, I have not seen that, but I
Oh,
am
the new
doing
one?
good.
Yeah.
I know that you have a segue with that, so I'll let you get to it.
Yeah, well, right when I jumped into the pregame meeting, I was talking to Tom how we had a uh, pretty bad thunderstorm roll over us here in Loveland. I think it's done now, but I've talked to a lot of people that have already seen it, and they're like, "You got to see it," because I know, is it Glenn Howe or Powell that is in Top Gun Maverick? He's in it, so I might watch it. Yeah, so I was just because I've been like huge into movie watching over the last couple weeks. Top Gun Maverick. I'm gonna rewatch that probably tomorrow, sometime this week. But then I was like, you know what? There's some new movies that are coming out that I'm kind of excited about. Twisters was one of them. So, yeah, I might watch it. So, um, yeah, so we have a little bit to talk about today, obviously with the Padres series, and then I'll kind of share what happened with Game Two when I went to Coors Field. That was awesome. So Game One for the Rockies, it was a good game. Cal Quantrill, he hasn't been exactly the same, since the first half. He's been kind of banged up a little bit. I think he had a sore elbow. Not too long ago, but he pitched fine in game one. I mean, he didn't go deep, but as you can see there, Padres were only scored 3 runs in game one. Brendan Rodgers got a big 3-run home run early in the game, really helped the Rockies offensively. Of course, that was his only hit, but still, I believe he was our pick of the game for that day. Charlie Blackmon, good old Charlie Blackmon, 38 years old. He continues to eat the Padres pitching for breakfast. That was what our caption for the home run. So, he's a Padres owner, as we all know. He got a home run there. I think that was his 8th of the year, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I mean, it was again complete game by the Rockies. Bullpen did a good job. Rockies overall complete game in game one against the Padres. And again, the Rockies have had the Padres number this year. And especially even last year, they had some good success against San Diego. So game one was fun. Game two was a big one. Obviously, like I said, I went to game two as my first game of the year, and will probably be my only game of the year. It's very, very exciting. Very, it's something you don't want to take for granted, especially for me because I usually don't go down a course field a whole lot. I think this was like my ninth ever Rockies game. Sometimes, especially if I'm busy, I just don't have the time to. I'd love to be down there at course field every single day if I could. I just can't. I have stuff going on in my life, and I'm busy with work and everything, and I have a new job starting up soon at Chick-fil-A, so I'm excited for that. But um, yeah, game two, of course, it was special with Todd Helton with his number, you know, being, of course, he's already been retired, but they were gonna put the Hall of Fame thing around his number. I got to see that live, man. That was special, and I didn't record it. I told Tom, but I didn't record it because I wanted to, just see it with my own eyes. Yeah, it would have been fun to see it recorded, but I just want to see it live in person and being able to witness the entire moment at that time. It was just special, and seeing Peyton Manning and the Todd Helton family there was just special, and hearing their testimony on Todd and that was just great. And Spilly did a great job. And the game might have, it wasn't all the that much fun, but it was still fun to be at the ballpark. And I forgot to mention that I was able to meet some of our followers on Instagram that follow the page. I was able to meet a few of them, so that was awesome. Got the bobblehead, so that's special too. I would like to get more bobbleheads, but again, I don't have a whole lot of space in my house. But yeah, getting the bobblehead was fun. Overall, it was a great night. Looking on it, Dylan Cease, man, of course, former White Sox, and he pitched well. I mean, I know he pitched. I think he had like 4 or 5 walks that night. But other than that, he shut down the Rockies offensively. The Rockies offensively that night wasn't good. They grounded out quite a bit into the double plays, a lot of missed plays defensively. But Michael Toglia got a home run. That was nice to see, and it's still the Rockies lost, but it was still a fun night at the ballpark. And then yesterday, Game 3 for the Rockies. Um, and Padres. The Rockies were able to come out on top 3-2. Aaron Schunk, I think the story of that game was really Aaron Schunk and Jordan Beck. Aaron Schunk had that 12 pitch at bat against Joe Musgrove, who is coming back from injury. But Joe Musgrove, he was pitching pretty well yesterday, but Schunk lined a double down the left field line, scored Jordan Beck. And by the way, I think during that 12 pitch at bat, I think was it Jordan Beck, ran, was it 8 times back and forth from second to first base trying to steal a base. He's like, come on, man, I need to get back here. And Jordan Beck ran all the way from first to home plate. And I think it was something like 300 yards, of coverage that he ran. And it was just crazy. And you could see in the dugout that Jordan Beck was pretty tired. He was worn out, and some of his fellow teammates were giving him trouble, which was pretty funny to watch. But yeah, it was a great ball game. Vodnik, man, your guy Vodnik, and of course a lot of our followers on Instagram were kind of jumping on the Victor Vodnik train. It's been awesome. Come on board the Victor Vodnik train. He looks good. Bradley Blaylock, man. I mean, second start, I know it's early, but first career start at Coors Field. Almost got a quality start too, 5 2/3 innings, and against the San Diego lineup that scored 8 runs the previous night. Bradley Blaylock, he's been pretty good the first 2 games. So again, another complete game for the Rockies. It was a low scoring, close game for the Rockies, but hey, I mean, San Diego, I know the Rockies have owned San Diego this year and over the last year or so, but still, this is a team that's, playing well, and, they're winning right now against the Twins. This is a team that might be in the playoffs, and the Rockies, they played pretty well against a team that will probably be in October. So it was all around. It was a great series for the Rockies, and it was fun watching that in game 2. So another great series for the Rockies.
I guess you can kind of say we took the series off down in Arizona because, I mean, who was it? I think it was one of our routine commenters in our score post said we just can't win in Arizona. We just can't win in Arizona, which has been the case all season. So I guess you could say we kind of took that series off. And if you exclude that series, we would have back-to-back series wins because we also won the series prior to Arizona against the Braves, which is pretty good because the Braves are kind of, as you and I talked about in the pre-show meeting, they're holding on, but hopefully they keep going. As I mentioned, it's we're on Triple Crown watch in both the American and National League. We got Terry Skubal and Chris Sale, 2 lefties, mind you, leading the American and National League respectively in wins, ERA, strikeouts. So that's something for everybody, for all you hardcore baseball fans, keep an eye on. And with the Triple Crown watch for the position players, Judge, I don't think he's going to catch Bobby Witt Jr. in batting average. I think Judge trails him, my last I checked, by 18. I think it's 18 points,
Mm-hmm.
3, I believe. But real quick, I know it's divisional thing here, but come on. Shohei Ohtani, I got to talk about the guy. He's 1 home run, 3 steals away from the 40-40 club. The last 40-40 club, if going back to memory, was Alfonso Soriano in 2007 with the Nationals, I believe. I think it was 2007 season. But anyway, enough, I digress. I'm just talking about exciting things going on around baseball just for our listeners and followers to keep up on, because this has been an exciting year for baseball, and hopefully we can down the stretch here we can get something good. I got to tell you, this was a good series to watch. Again, former White Sox, I was looking forward to watching the Saturday game, not just because of Todd Helton, but I wanted to see the matchup between Freeland and Cease. Cease, he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year, but the old Cease came out. I mean, when he was the first couple years with the White Sox, I can tell you firsthand experience watching him, he struggled with walks. And today, on Saturday, he not struggled with command. He got squeezed a couple times by the home plate umpire. But the Rockies kind of took advantage of the walks, but not so much. They could have done it a bit better. And Freeland, he did what he could, but ultimately it wasn't enough. But it was good. Rockies had a series win. Quantrill and Blaylock, hey, this is not just his second start. I didn't realize this until I looked on Sunday. This is his 3rd appearance because his debut was as 1 inning out of the pen. So again, 2 starts, 5 2/3, both solid. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. That's what we need. That's something we need out of him. Eat up good, solid amount of innings. And hey, he didn't get his win. That went to, again, I'm sorry,
Seville. I think it's
Seville,
yeah, Seville
Seville,
or Seville.
again.
Yeah.
But Bradley Blaylock, I got it right that time,
There
guys.
you go. Yeah.
I'm not forgetting it a second time. But Bradley Blaylock, he's been good. So
Yeah.
he's making his case to be in the rotation next year. So I hope he keeps it up. And again, it was an enjoyable series. You know, like you said, I'm trying to down the Padres a little bit here because of certain players they have, but I mean, Mike Schultz holding them together. They're a good team. They've got good pieces at all aspects of the roster, and we'll see. I mean, this is the wild card spots are shaped up to be a good race. The division winners, I don't want to say are kind of upset in the National League, but the division winners are kind of, you could say, have a firm grip on the lead. So we'll see how the wild card teams shake up. You know, Phillies, Brewers, and Dodgers. I mean, those three teams are just kind of rolling along. So we'll see how the wild card shakes up. But all in all, for the Rockies, good series. And hey, somebody's got to play spoiler against these potential playoff teams.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mentioned this to Tom too, but I'm curious to see what the Braves do. Of course, they have, I think, Luke Williams, as we were talking on earlier before we started. But Austin Riley, if you haven't heard, Austin Riley is basically out for the year, 6 to 8 weeks. And I mean, the Braves, they have so many injuries. And so now the question, can they still hang on to that final wild card spot? I'm curious to see because I'm not a Brewers fan, but I'm kind of rooting for them. They have a great team. Not to mention, we've had some great Rockies players head over there and play for them, including Sam Hilliard. Pierce Johnson, Colorado native, he's over there. So I'm kind of rooting for the Braves. I feel bad for them though.
Mm.
Now losing Riley, gosh, I mean, he's been arguably their best player. He's always solid at third base, one of the best third basemen in the National League, defensively and offensively. Of course, there's debate whether if McMahon or Arenado are better at third base, but Riley, he's pretty good too, right? And to lose a guy like him, that's huge. And but again, like I told Tom, the final 6 weeks of the year is going to be fun to watch. You got Arizona, San Diego. They're, as of right now, I think they would actually play in the wild card game in the National League. Of course, there's the wild card series, which I like. It's okay. So Arizona, yeah.
Oh. No, real quick, you just hear all the complaining about the teams that get the bye. Here, I get this for you.
Yeah.
The world's smallest violin.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Arizona, of course, we just played them. And, Arizona, they have a bunch of, really talented young players. Of course, Corbin Carroll, Jake McCarthy, who hit the game 2 walk-off against us in Arizona. That guy, I feel like there's always that one guy that might not have the greatest stats on the team or in baseball, but just rakes against a random team and he rakes against us. So, but yeah, Arizona, they have a nice young tight squad. However, I think they did lose the series to Tampa. Tampa is still trying to hang into the wild card. They might even make it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for that. But yeah, it just I feel bad for the Braves, but over the next 6 weeks or so, it's gonna be fun as a baseball fan. Maybe not as a Rockies fan, but as a baseball fan to see how the postseason bracket is going to line up. How is it going to look? Who's going to get the bye? And of course, we'll probably see the Phillies get that number 1 seed. I mean, the Dodgers are kind of waking up a little bit. We were talking about the Twins a little bit too. That I feel like in some ways the Twins haven't been talked about enough because I think I saw somewhere today, and I told this to Tom, but the Twins apparently have either the best record, they have been the best team since I think April. And I feel like I haven't heard enough about the Twins. And the Twins, they might be a team to watch because, I mean, last year, heck, they won that series against Toronto in the wild card round. And then
the first series win in years.
Yeah, in a long time, because every single stinking year they had to go against the Yankees, and the Yankees was their kryptonite, and they didn't have to worry about it last year because the Yankees didn't even make the playoffs. So, the Twins, they're kind of hoping that doesn't happen this year where they have to face the Yankees again. But the Twins, they're going to be a team to watch too, and it's going to be fun. The Twins are going to be, again, like I said, are going to be a team to watch.
Kind of a funny joke there. You talk about they didn't draw the Yankees. They had the Yankees for a couple of consecutive years in the first round. Then they draw the Blue Jays. Maybe they'll draw a different American League East and get the Orioles in the first round. No, the Orioles will probably get a bye. So let's check that. Then maybe they'll get the Yankees again because I don't think the Yankees are going to get a bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, I know a lot of Twins fans will be like, "Oh, here we go again," but still, I mean, there's a case where maybe the Twins could shock the world and get the Yankees. But again, it's kind of like it's almost like a college football team where you have two teams that, have a long history of rivals together, that, and a lot of history together, where one team has always had the edge. It's kind of like, the Twins and Yankees there, but I don't know, maybe we'll see something different, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Real
Now, one
quick,
thing, oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
real quick, I just want to give out a shout out to one of our Instagram people. I will fear no evil 15. A good number, by the way. 15 is my third
Yeah.
favorite number.
Yeah.
He's talking about a little bit about Victor Vodnik. Come on, jump on the train with me, man. Vodnik
Yeah.
is my guy. I've been a fan of him since we traded for him. I've been hopeful for him. Jump on the Vodnik bandwagon. He got his 9th save on Sunday. So
Yeah.
I'm liking him. He's still looking like he could be the closer of the future there. But
Yeah.
I did see somebody on, I think it was one of our Instagram posts, say, sign him to an extension. I have one comment to make about that.
Mhm.
When it comes to relievers, they can be wishy-washy. They may have a good year, a bad year, good year, bad year. They tend to sometimes be inconsistent due to the fact that being a reliever is so volatile, because being a reliever, you got to have your stuff when you come in with nobody on or traffic on the bases. So I give him one more year, and then if he shows he can be that with that closer's mentality, then I give him an extension after next year.
Right. And that's why of course, we didn't know how bad Nolan Jones was going to be this year. I mean, he hasn't been bad. It's just he's been injured. I feel like he's kind of like, of course, he's much better in my opinion, and of course, younger than Chris Bryant. But, I feel like Nolan's barely played this year. I feel like we've barely seen him. He's just been injured. And I think, of course, that scare in spring training when he fell off his leg, that scared the crap out of all of us. But it really was kind of like a sign of what his 2024 was going to be. And of course, we've already talked about it several times of how we think that he might be a huge bounce back candidate in 2025. I think he's going to be, and of course, he's back, and I think he might have a good final 6 weeks of the season. But I think if you're the Rockies, of course, you definitely want to extend lock up Brenton Doyle. Nolan Jones could definitely still be there. However, you still want to be careful, because what if he's gets another injury? You don't want to have a extension that is a bad one that necessarily, causes you to, ask questions. And our notes that we have here, Nolan Jones has played 49 games this year, so not much. I mean, again, that's, he's probably going to get, I don't know, anywhere from 60, 70 at the most, probably, because I think we're now coming on like 40 games left of the year, right? So he's only going to, I mean, if he stays healthy the rest of the year, he'll only play close to a half the year. But even this year, he hasn't been great. However, before he got injured again, Nolan was starting to hit well. We started seeing signs that he was hitting for power. I think he got a home run in Chicago against your White Sox. That was a rocket. And so, we saw the power come back. It's just that his back it's been giving him ailments this year, and we kind of saw that.
Yeah, it's I hate to, the problem is being a Major League Baseball player, whether you're a pitcher or a position player, back injuries are so common. It's more common than people think, and I give players a lot of credit. They are better at better poker players than most of us when it comes to having injuries, because they often keep a stone face and bluff you that you can't tell if they're injured. But I can go through a couple of examples such of guys who had back problems later in their careers, but I mean, one right now, probably Chris Bryant. I guarantee you he has an issue with his back. And
yeah,
for Nojo at his, I don't want to say, he's kind of entering toward those getting closer to the prime years of his career, what should be the prime years of his career. He's just got to find something that works for him. And like you said, he is definitely a comeback player of the year candidate for next season. So if he is 100%, or if he's feeling like he's 100%, we'll see when because he is rejoining the team. Sorry, side comment, right? He is rejoining the team this series, right?
Yeah, he is. Hunter Goodman has been sent down to.
That's right. Okay. Yep. I thought I saw I couldn't remember if I saw the notification, but we'll see. I mean, he is going to get left field spot, and that means back goes over to right. So that's a pretty good outfield, considering I think that's got to be. I got to say, I will match that 3 up that our outfield with the arm strength of our outfield against anyone in baseball. I think we win that one.
Yeah, I'll say this too, because in game 2, Jordan Beck made a pretty good throw from left field too. If you watched the game, or if any of our listeners or watchers that are watching this, if you saw the game on Tuesday, Jordan Beck actually made a pretty good throw from left field. And again, all 3 of those guys have really elite arms.
Mhm.
Jones, Doyle, and Beck, really solid defensive players too. I mean, Jordan Beck is very good defensively. He actually robbed a home run in Game 3 in Arizona,
Mhm.
and so we talked about that too. So the Rockies have a really good outfield, and they're going to have a good outfield for years to come. So
Don't
you
forget
know,
the one in San Diego.
yeah, and San Diego, Doyle robbed a home run, right where Adam Jones, robbed a home run in the 2017 World Baseball Classic. So
Didn't real quick,
yeah,
didn't Beck have one in the game before too?
I'm trying to.
I
It wasn't.
thought, I mean,
Are you talking about San Diego or Arizona?
I think it was San Diego, but I think it was a sliding catch, I believe, not the one where he
Yeah, I
injured
think
his.
you're right. Yeah, yeah,
But anyway,
mhm.
either way, that is one of the got to be one of the best defensive outfields in baseball.
Yeah, and I mean, eh, there's still, you don't want to, expect too much, but this could be the future Rockies outfield right here. I mean, there's still guys in the minor leagues that we're looking at. Yanquio Fernandez, will he play the outfield? Could he play right field? Um, so it's something to watch. But again, this could be the future Rockies outfield right here of Beck,
Veen's still dealing with the wrist.
Devine. Yeah, and see, it's so frustrating as a Rockies fan, and I feel bad for Devine, but it's a lot of risk, especially when you draft a high
Mhm.
schooler. And
Uh,
Drew Romo, especially when you draft high in the first round, in the first 5 to 10 picks, very some of these guys do work out, but again, not all of them do. And we talked
mhm,
about Riley Pint was a guy that was kind of in the same, he had a lot of hype. He was the hardest throwing right-handed pitcher out of high school in Kansas, right, in the nation, right. And a lot of people thought this guy was going to be an ace for the Rockies. And just this week, the Rockies outrighted him back to Albuquerque off the 40-man roster.
mhm,
And it's just like it doesn't. I mean, again, we feel for the guy, but it doesn't look like he's going to pan out. And unfortunately, that's what happens. And for Veen, this guy had at one point was our number one prospect. And now, granted, this was back when our farm system had not really much, hardly any talent. Only Veen
mhm,
was really our number one guy. Drew Romo was our number two, and that was it. Where now we have a bunch of guys. I mean, go take a look at the top 10. I mean, Veen is still on there, but I mean, you look at the top three of Charlie Condon, Chase Dolander, Adele Amador. Jordan Beck is still on the prospect list, even though he's on the major league roster. He's still considered as a prospect, right? So
mhm,
it's just that you still hope for Zach Veen, but I'm not going to blame everything on this particular person. However, with Bill Schmidt in office now as the GM, he's made much better drafting decisions. I feel like since he's been the Rockies GM, Jeff Bridich, and I've said this before, minus a few trades and minus a few moves, Jeff Bridich, in my opinion, never drafted well and never did free agency well. And now, of course, we will say, and we do agree that some of it was he was, I feel like, a puppeted by Dick Monfort, right? The Ian Desmond signing, I feel like, was very much kind of like a Dick Monfort type of signing. And so I'm not saying it's Jeff Bridech's fault that Zach Veen didn't pan out. However, when you're in a rebuild and the Rockies should have admitted, and we talked about this too, like Jeff Bridich, and I know Tom, as we've iterated before too, Jeff Bridich he never even answered the questions right. He never even answered them fully. Where people would ask Jeff Bridich questions, he never give you a really, really good answer. Like, Jeff, are we rebuilding? Are we retooling? What are we doing? And he would just like, we're just doing this and that's it. Or he would just basically saying, you all just sit back and relax. We'll do our job. We're not going to rebuild. We're just, I remember he said, yeah, we're not rebuilding. Okay, then what are we doing? And so it's just, I don't know. It's getting me worked up again. But, I'm not saying Zach Veen's never going to work out, but he was the GM. And maybe the Rockies should have gotten a college guy rather than a high schooler. But still, Drew Romo was a high schooler. But however, Drew Romo, I believe, was a third-round pick.
mhm.
Second or third-round pick. So
Third,
third-round pick, yeah, out of
third, yeah,
Woodlands
third.
High School in
Mhm,
Texas. So again, praying Zach Veen can some way somehow just stay healthy, but it hasn't panned out for him, and I really do feel for him, and hopefully he finds some sort of footing, but he hasn't been able to find it, and he's just been plagued by injuries, and he's just kind of come to a halt ever since he's come to Double A.
real quick, I'm just checking. Drew Romo. No, he was a first rounder. Actually, I'm sorry, my mistake. He was the 35th overall pick in the 2020 MLB draft out of
So it was
Woodlands.
Veen and then Romo. Okay,
Yes, correct.
okay.
So yeah, I just want to make sure we got that right on disclaimer. Um, I mean, we can go over. I can give you countless examples that have come up to the top of my head of guys who are either, whether it's high school, college, drafted first round, whatever, all over. There's so many guys who don't even make it to the major leagues. It's
Mm-hmm.
an unfortunate fact of the sport. Whether it's the number one ranked prospect or your 30 ranked prospect, not all guys are going to make the major league level, make it to the majors. It's sad fact of the sport. You would like to hope that when you draft a first rounder, he makes it and you can count on him, but not everyone is Bryce Harper, who's on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16 years old, labeled the chosen one, drafted number one overall, skyrockets to the majors, and becomes what you see today, and probably going to go to the Hall of Fame someday. Knock on wood, I
Mm-hmm.
hope he does. It's the good news is we do have some players who are panning out. When you look at Bretton Doyle, who I don't even think was even a top 15 prospect in our system, you've got Nolan Jones, who was a coming, get it, kind of digging through the Cleveland Guardian system, does know how to overturn, does know how to draft and develop, particularly pitchers. And then Jordan Beck, a Tennessee Volunteer, he's working out, and his fellow alum Chase Dolander could hopefully not be far behind. It's just the luck of the draw, but the good news is we have what seemingly could be, if it stays healthy next year, it would be nice to see Beck, Doyle, Jones from right to left across the outfield all of next year. Again, I know that's wishful thinking because you got to hope and pray for good health, but that's something I would love to see because you got not only just three athletic guys who have strong arms and are good athletes and can cover a good amount of ground, Doyle more so than Jones and Beck, but two righties and a lefty. Both have good powers we've all seen, and again, we'll have to wait and see. Jury's still out, I think, on Yankee Fernandez. You mentioned we really don't even know what his true position is in the outfield anyway. Is he gonna be left, center, or right? So,
Yeah.
But Veen, I'm not saying you want to give up on the guy, but the good news is if he needs more time, because again, some prospects bloom late.
Mm.
We can hold off with the three outfielders that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, for Fernandez, I feel like it's going to be more like a Drew Romo, what we saw last year. Fernandez is probably going to stay in AAA till later next year because the Rockies really don't need any more outfielders at this point. And the same thing with Veen. Veen, we'll just wait and see if he can stay healthy. First step is just stay healthy, and if he can, great. And by the way, I think I want to say both Veen and Brendan Rodgers, are pretty close friends because actually they're both from Florida, and I think they're both from close to the same area. So it's just unfortunate because both of them have had a lot of injuries in their career, and so it's a bummer as Rockies fans because we want to see these guys perform well. And actually, I think both Veen and Rodgers were high school draft picks by the Rockies.
Yeah.
So, and they're both from Florida. So I'm not saying that they're carbon copy, but it's unfortunate with what has happened to Veen. But again, his career's not over. He's still like 22 years old. It's not like, oh, he's 24. It's over. Veen is 22. Drew Romo is 22, I think. So again, these guys were drafted when I think Veen was drafted when he was it 17, I think.
I think he was just shy of 18.
Yeah, 17. Romo is about the same age, and
I'll check.
yeah. So they're still young, so there's still plenty of time for these guys to grow and develop. It's just that so far it's not good signs for not Drew Romo, for Zach Veen. Drew Romo, by the way, he made his debut in Game 2. Got to see that. That was great. I thought he had his first career hit later in the game. I think it was a ground out, but he was able to go to first base. But of course, they didn't rule that as a hit. But I think he'll probably get his first one sometime in the National Series. So we're gunning for that, hoping for that Drew can get his first hit. So we're looking for that. But yeah, it's sad to see Romo. Veen just continue to get injuries because I think this is the second or third time he's been injured this year.
Just quick side comment: Veen was 18 when he was drafted. Ninth overall, 2020. So it was Veen, him at 9, and then Romo 35th in that same round.
I don't think Christian Moore, I wanted to quickly just mention him very, very quickly. Of course, he's a top prospect for the Angels and just drafted, earlier last month, but he's already moving through the system quickly for the Angels. The Angels, they'll do Angel things. Like last year, they called up Nolan Shanuel, I think right around this time after only spending a few weeks in the minor leagues. And are they going to do that with Christian Moore? It looks possible that they could do that. It's just, was Christian Moore? I'm pretty sure he was college. I think, right?
Let me check again.
Yeah, yeah, but
Talking
you know,
Christian Moore of the Angels, right?
yeah,
Because he was called
um,
up the same exact year that he was drafted.
yeah,
Which I'm saying is not as if that's uncommon, but it was,
right.
I believe, about a month and a half after he was drafted.
Yeah, the Angels, they like to do that with their prospects. I mean, the A's. I mean, again,
You're
I did
talking
see.
Christian Moore out of hold on, never mind. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Well, I just saw today that the A's just promoted Nick Kurtz to Double A. So the A's are promoting Nick Kurtz. I mean, Nick Kurtz is really, really good. He's having a fantastic start to his pro ball career for the A's organization. Um, but yeah, I feel like the Angels, that's something that they would do, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that they did that last year with Nolan Chanuel, and now it might be happening with Christian Moore. Um,
He was never. No, I think we might be thinking of a different guy. He was just called up to Double A.
okay, yeah,
He has spent there now. Well, he only played 2 games in High A. He batted 546 with a 583 on base percentage, and then now he has 383, 442, 723 slugging in 12 games with Rocket City.
not bad, not bad.
Hmm. He has only no, I shouldn't say only. He has 5 home runs and 7 RBIs.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
And with hold on real quick, sorry, 13
yeah,
strikeouts and 5 walks.
yeah. I need to see how Charlie Kahn is doing, but again, that's a conversation for another time.
I can check
Um,
real fast if you want.
oh yeah, you can go ahead. But one thing, as you check, I'll kind of go into our
Cool.
next segment, which is going to be kind of small. This was something I was watching today on Foul Territory. This past weekend was Players Weekend, and I really enjoyed the conversation because it's true. We like for a lot of baseball fans, this is special. Players Weekend, not not only just for the fans, but for the players, of course, because they get to show off their cause and they get to use special bats, that sort of thing, and they were talking about the uniforms of how can we please have like some sort of creativity come back to the Players Weekend because like this year again, don't get me wrong, seeing the cool bats, the lightsaber, Jackson Merrill's lightsaber bat was awesome. The pencil bat, I think one of the Toronto Blue Jays had that. Like several players had the pencil bat, was awesome, right? I love that. And a lot of guys had special cleats for the Rockies. Everywhere around baseball, they had special bats, special cleats, numbers on the sides of the hats. But that was basically it. We need to see the Players Weekend uniforms return. We need to see them come back, and they were kind of talking about that on the Foul Territory show today, and it's just that baseball needs to bring it back, but unfortunately, I don't think Nike will do that. Of course, with the City Connects already, and don't get me wrong, I like the City Connects. It's just that can't we just like for 3 days out of the year. Just wear special uniforms dedicated to players, made by the players, and because it's really about the players. Like, I don't know. I really wish that we could just bring back the jerseys because again, going back to 2017, 2018 jerseys were amazing. I think my favorite it's close between 2018 and 2017, but I got to go with 2017 Rockies gray jerseys that they wore in Atlanta. Those were so good, and I just wish that they could bring them back. It's just with Nike, but not really. I mean, I wouldn't say it's Nike's fault, however, because if you go back to 2019 when the Players Weekend uniforms were just a plain old, black and white, which was horrible. There's like no creativity, and that was made by Majestic, by the way, which were the same people that made the good jerseys from 2017 and 2018. But it's just like Major League Baseball basically told Majestic, hey, we're just going to go black and white. It's just like we need to see more creativity. And that's what Players Weekend is all about. And I just feel like we need to see that come back. And hopefully it's in the near future. But again, and we've talked about this numerous times, but if that were to change, it would probably happen in the CBA, which is going to be a show that will be remembered coming up in the next couple of years because the next CBA is going to be horrible. It's going to be a war between the players and the owners. So, but it's some one thing I really, and I think a lot of us can agree on. We want to see the Players Weekend jerseys come back because again, it's a lot more fun because, somebody was saying that they were at the ballpark and they were like, oh, it's Players Weekend. I didn't know it's just like, I remember back in 2017, 2018, people were so excited for this and people like bought the jerseys. It's not like, oh, we hated the jersey. People bought the jerseys, and not to mention, I swear I saw somebody wearing a Rockies Players Weekend jersey that they wore back in 2017 at Coors Field just the other day. And so it's just those will sell. Major League Baseball will sell very well if they just allow the Players Weekend jerseys to return. It's just that I don't know. It's it's almost like, of course, this is not football, but a lot of people say the no fun league, in the NFL. But I feel like it's just like, can we have more fun in Major League Baseball by bringing back the Players Weekend jerseys? It's we need to bring those back, and I think it would be a lot more fun for the players and for the fans.
Just real quick to address a comment here, Matt Narvet. Again, the pitch clock is permanent. It's here to stay. That doesn't need to be negotiated in the next CBA. It is there permanently. It's going nowhere. And to me, that has been a game changer. And yes, the next CBA negotiation after the 2025 season, in 25-26 offseason, I guarantee you is going to be a bloodbath. We're already getting a slight preview based on some of the things and some of the comments going back and forth in the media, which is part of the negotiating tactic that both sides, the players union and the league, are going to use. This is going to be one of Rob Manfred's big final, parts of his agenda as commissioner as he exits stage left. Excuse me, I was pointing the wrong way. After his contract, I believe, ends after 2028,
I think.
Yeah, I think it's eight. It's eight. I believe I think it's eight after the 8th season. Which this is a CBA, the big and the next big TV deal, which I'm hoping is a big national deal because they definitely do need that. So we'll see. Real quick, is the shift coming back? No, the shift changes are Matt Narvet. The shift changes are staying as they are. I like the changes. I don't like seeing basically the whole infield on either side. That to me, it's part of the game, but I think you do have limitations how much you can shift. But the CBA is going to be one thing. But to go quick to Players Weekend, I mean, I love also the nicknames. You can put your own custom nickname, not just customizing your bat, your glove, your cleats, your batting gloves. I love the nicknames. Like for example, Jose Abreu when he was with the White Sox, he had Mal Tiempo. I can't remember what that translates to. I just like seeing nicknames. I mean, I could leave several nicknames I could put for my own. I'll save those for another time. But yeah, they do sell it because for example, the White Sox had black with red sleeve. Rockies had gray with purple. Or I like the black one that you posted on our threads there. I like that all black one. That's another one. That's my first choice. The gray with the purple sleeves, second choice. But I think it was, to me, I don't think it was, I didn't see as much advertisement for it this year. And I think because, not sure if they're downplaying it or they're thinking it's just, oh, it's another weekend, whatever. I don't like that. It's the Players Weekend, promote as such. It's their weekend to enjoy and have fun and customize the cool things and, just market the heck out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good for baseball. I mean, you get more people to watch the games, and like you mentioned the nicknames. I almost forgot the nicknames. I mean, people want to see that, and it's just like it'd be better for baseball, and not to mention the Olympics too. I mean, Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani just recently said, I think it would be great for Major League Baseball to get involved with the Olympics and have us play in the Olympics. But the owners won't want that because they're not going to be able. They don't want their players playing and getting injured. It's just like, come on, like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, this is probably going to be the last time, 2028, which it's been confirmed. So.
It's in LA, and it's in LA, and it's in LA, too.
And so it's going to happen. I mean, baseball is going to happen, but again, it's just like, the owners are gonna try their darndest to not allow some of their best players to get in there. They're just gonna have random baseball players. Well, now granted, we've seen some like random baseball players in the Olympics before. I think back in like 2008, but still, people want to see the best athletes. People want to see Shohei Ohtani. People want to see Bryce Harper. People want to see Trey Turner. It's good for baseball. It's good for sports, and not to mention, can you imagine how much revenue Major League Baseball would get if they just go all in on the Olympics? They would get a ton of money. Yeah, baseball like no, we don't want that. We can have prospects go, but we don't want Bryce Harper to go. It's just like, come on, get off your high chair, let them have fun.
Well, real quick point to that. They would get a share they would get a cut of revenue. You could negotiate that in a deal if they do send their players to the Olympics. Like, for example, when the NBA started sending their players to the Olympics, like the Dream Team in '92, they would get a cut of share revenue. And it wasn't long ago, I remember in the Tokyo Olympics, baseball was in it, and you had guys like Alvarez, Todd Frazier, former White Sox,
Yeah.
was the third
Yeah.
baseman. I
Mhm.
admit, my wife and I woke up early to watch the gold medal game between Japan and the U.S. And it was, even though you had none of the top stars, quote unquote, it was
Mhm.
still very fun to watch. It was a great
Mhm.
game. It was a
Mhm.
one-run ball game. And imagine if we had the best of the best around the world, like Otani, Harper.
Mhm.
You name the star from other or also the the Hispanic countries. Like
Yeah.
Cuba would have a team. Like
Dominican
again,
Republic. Yeah.
they point to the World Baseball Classic. Well, imagine that on
Right.
the Olympic stage with everything.
Yeah.
It'd be
World
so much
stage. Yeah.
enjoyable. The
Yeah.
whole world would be watching. I'd love to watch it. And
Mhm.
the players, again, not every top player is gung ho about it, but I think again, when you got Bryce Harper and Shohei Otani gung ho about it,
Mhm.
it makes all the sense in the world. And again, just take a couple weeks off during the season. I'd love to see it. I'm sure all the fans
Mhm.
would love to see it, not just in America, but around the world would love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the World Baseball Classic. I think it's a good thing, and of course, it's a good time to do it because you're doing it in spring training or right before spring training, and you allow these players to do that. I think it's great, but you shouldn't just limit them to the World Baseball Classics. Just have them play in the Olympics too. I mean, I know it's 2 weeks, um, and that's the thing too. That's the big question because I know Brody Brazil, he was on his podcast talking
Mhm,
about it. The difficult thing is like how are they going to play? Because one thing that they could do that might be able to work is during the All Star break. Well, the All Star break is only like 4 days long, 4 or 5 days long, right? So
mhm,
you would
mhm,
have to find ways to do that. But like if Bryce Harper, for instance, is playing for Team USA, he would be missing Phillies action for about a week, maybe a week and a half, at the most. Which is, it's a, I guess it's an
mhm,
important time. However, still, it's before the trade deadline. You're still several weeks
mhm,
before you start worrying about the playoffs. But yeah, it's just if the players want to be in the Olympics, which they do, let
mhm.
them play. And it's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that a lot of these owners, greedy owners, they don't want that to happen, And
Well,
but still, like
okay.
like you said, 2020. I never watched 2020. I was at
Mhm,
college. I was busy doing things, but 2020, like you said, was still fun. I mean, you had Todd Frazier, he was on there,
mhm.
and so yeah, I mean, it can still be fun. I really hope that they can Major League Baseball will allow some of these big players to go, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll allow certain players, and I understand that there's some injury risk to that because that's huge too. Because what if let's just say Manny Machado or some guy on a let's just say Soto
Mm,
is playing for the Dominican Republic, right, and he gets injured.
yeah.
Well, that might hurt the Yankees' chances for the playoffs. So I can understand from their point of view that we don't want him to get hurt because he's important to our playoff run. I understand that, but it's just still like if they want to play, let them play. It's their decision. Let them play.
There's even injury risk, and there's injury risk wherever they are. Even when they go home in the off season, there's injury
Right.
risk.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, yeah.
Tatis, anyone?
Or yeah, again, he's on a motorcycle, and that's supposed to be on a motorcycle. Or also, people talk about getting injured in outside competition away from the season. Look what happened to Edwin Diaz in the World Baseball Classic while celebrating.
Yeah.
Come
Yes,
on,
he was celebrating. He
who are
out
we
for the year.
kidding here? Who are we kidding here, guys?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to be critical to one of my favorite players, but Chris Sale got injured while riding a motorized scooter through Boston. So injuries. What are we gonna do? Bubble wrap these guys? Come
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Injuries happen everywhere. Or I'll give a quick different sport example. I think this was on Hard Knocks with the Dolphins. David Garrard was playing with his kids around his pool at his house, and he turned, and all of a sudden he had a knee pop, and then he had to have surgery on his knee. So again, injuries happen in competition, out of competition, at the facility, away from the facility. Doesn't matter. You're susceptible to injury. That's what we are. We're
Yeah.
humans. We're frail by nature.
Right.
To an extent, differently to some more than so to others. But it's just, to your point, maybe they're not away during the season. Maybe you can find a way to postpone the season. You can shorten the season in an Olympic year and just put an asterisk. This was Olympic year. The season was shortened by 20-ish games or whatever the heck it would be.
Right.
Um, but I see just in turn, not that Major League Baseball needs exposure, but it's just like, if you're going to send the NBA players to the Olympics, you're going to send, again, American football is not a Olympic sport. But if you're going to have baseball as Olympic sport, just like how professionals from all over the world in basketball, you got to do the same thing for baseball. I think you have to.
Yeah.
It-
I mean, it is cool that they're bringing in flag football, though. That's cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would agree. That's
Yeah.
yeah. I just personally, I don't want to see. There's some sports I just don't want to see in the Olympics ever
Yeah,
again.
like, I mean, breakdancing, I never even
Oh
watched it.
no,
It's just thank you.
no.
Thank you for getting rid of that. It's just like, who would watch that? I mean, maybe like 2 people, but yeah.
It's not.
But
There's
yeah.
I miss baseball and softball by
Yeah,
the way.
well, the softball's coming back too. So
Yep.
that's I'm excited for 2028. Of course, it's 4 more years, but it's gonna be fun 2028 regardless. Of course, this is gonna be after the Valley of the
Maybe
Shadow of Death of the
Ooh,
CBA, and hopefully
will
we'll be in better light. And of course, it'll be the last year for Manfred. So I think 28 will be a fun year. However, like you said,
ho-
Manfred's gonna have his stuff up his sleeve that he wants to get things to get done before he heads out.
plus hopefully you and I will be covering a Rockies contender by the time that comes around.
There you go. I mean, 2026, 2027. I know, I will feel no evil 15. He put out, 2026 is the year, and
Mm,
I agree with him. I think 2026,
I think
you
you and
know,
I are both on record saying that year. I mean, we were optimistic about 25, but 26, I think it's logical if
yeah,
again, all things, good, all things go right here. Fingers crossed here.
right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think 2025 is going to be more of a year, kind of like, you're getting better and better. 70 win season maybe next year if all things go right. Of course, that's going to have to wait till next year's season preview when we have our ceilings and floors for the Rockies. But really, I think if you look in early, I think next year your goal as a team is to try to win 70 to 80 games next year, and then we'll see what goes from there in 2026 and beyond. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. Like, again, 2020, in 2026, 2027, 2028, when the Olympics are coming up and the Rockies are getting better, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So it's just something to look forward to. But yeah, it's just, when we were talking about the Players Weekend, it just, if baseball wants to grow and get more revenue and bring in more fans, do stuff with the Olympics, be more involved with Players Weekend, have the nickname jerseys. That's, people love that. And if people love it, why not do it, right? So as we wrap up tonight's show, let me see if I can pull up the upcoming series against the Nationals, just so you guys stay tuned for that. Make sure you cover us or follow us, I should say, on Instagram, Threads, and X for all of your Rockies content, whether it's game scores, lineups, all the good stuff. And not to mention, just today we released our who's hot, who's not for the week. We've been doing that for the past 2 weeks, so you can just go check that out. And we just released that this morning, so again, check that out. So game one of the series against the Nationals will be tomorrow. That will begin at 4:45 p.m. Mountain Time. That will be 6:45 Eastern Time for those who live on the East Coast. Starting pitcher for the Rockies will be Austin Gomber, who is 3-8 with a 4.82 ERA with 89 strikeouts. He'll be going up against, let's see here, what's the pitcher's name? DJ Hertz. He is 2-5 with a 4.25 ERA, 68 strikeouts on the season. So, looking at the numbers, he's more of a ground ball type of guy. And I think the Rockies played against him when the Nationals came to Coors Field, and he did pretty well. I mean, he's young. I think this is his first year in the big leagues, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. So, in 12 games, he's 2-5 with, again, 4.25 ERA, 55 innings pitched, 68 strikeouts. So actually, he does have some strikeout stuff. I would have to look at his strikeout numbers later, but he's been decent, 4.25 ERA, especially for a young kid. The Nationals, they're an up and coming team. I feel like the Rockies could be like the Nationals, next year, where the Rockies are up and coming. They're playing a little bit better. Again, I mean the Nationals, they're not too far away behind. I mean, of course, they're looking at this. They're 13 games under 500, but still, I mean, that's not horrible. I mean, just a year or two ago, they were, arguably the worst team in baseball, right up there with the Orioles and the D-backs. Now the Nationals are on the way up again. They have really good prospects, of course, with Dylan Cruz being drafted last year. Very good farm system. So, hope is that the Rockies can somewhat duplicate what the Nationals are doing in terms of record next year. So yeah, Gomber, Hertz will be pitching game one. Game two will also start at 4:45 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 6:45 Eastern Time. Tanner Gordon will get the start against Parker. I'm trying to see his first name here. Mitchell Parker, who is a left-handed pitcher, 6-7 this year with a 4.44 ERA, 115 and 2/3 innings with 98 strikeouts with a WHIP of 1.27. And again, it looks like I believe this is also his first year in the big leagues. And by the way, he's an Albuquerque native, so he probably was born pretty close to where the Isotopes play, the Rockies AAA affiliate play at. So game 2, Gordon versus Parker. And then the series finale will be an early one. It's an early game, morning game. So make sure you wake up bright and early for the Rockies on Thursday morning, 11:05 Mountain Time, which will be 1:05 Eastern Time. Cal Quantrill will get the start against Patrick Corbin. So Patrick Corbin, he's 2-12 this year with a 5.92 ERA with 99 strikeouts. He kind of up there with Quantrill in strikeouts, but Tom, Corbin's career with the Nationals has not been good up to the point where a lot of Nationals fans ever since he signed with the club has been asking for his release, but he's signed on a long-term deal.
I remember when he signed, he was said to be a finishing piece or a kind of a round-out piece for that rotation that did go on to win a World Series. So he has a ring for his efforts, you could say. But I've been waiting for to see the headline Corbin DFA by the Nationals. I was just waiting for it to happen because let's face it, they might as well cut bait and dry and run. Yeah. But all year I've been in one of my favorite podcasts, the Nothing Personal podcast with David Sampson, former Marlins team president. He always says, whenever Patrick Corbin pitches, bet against Patrick Corbin. So if you're betting people, I'm not bet on for the Rockies, bet the Rockies to win game 3 because there's a very high probability you're going to win money off that one. So my advice, bet against Patrick Corbin. So bet the Rockies to win the game 3. What can I say? So, but again, this is going to be, I always, Hawk Harrelson, former White Sox broadcaster, always used to call the Nationals the Nasty Gnats. So, but they're an up and coming team, guys like CJ Abrams and
James Wood.
What's James Wood? Is that his name? Yeah, that's good prospect. Everything. What's the name of that pitcher they have? Oh shoot.
The up and coming, is it Rutledge? Jackson Rutledge?
Rutledge. Thank you. Not Patrick Corbin. Not that. Different. Somebody much younger and guy who's on the rise, not on the downturn of his career, or on his way out the door, I should say. They're an exciting young team. I know. I think it's I think Mike Rizzo, their general manager, who's from Chicago, by the way, is still the second longest tenured general manager behind Brian Cashman, of course. So he. Obviously, the Lerner family, I think they've been rumored for years to sell the team. But in spite of all those rumors, and obviously he's still on a big hangover from not only losing Bryce Harper and winning in the World Series, and then kind of slowly going out of it. They're still on a rebound here, so they're an exciting young team. So it should be a good series to watch.
It's gonna be fun. I think as a Rockies fan, you kind of want to see at least one win. Of course, the Rockies, they never play well on the road, especially in these rebuild years. But, you do go back to 2017, 2018 when the Rockies won like 40 games on the road, which, one day will hopefully come again once we get back into the playoff window. But as a Rockies fan, we're kind of hoping that the Rockies can get at least one win here. Of course, the Rockies will have Nolan Jones back. That'll be great to see. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on in this upcoming series. But like you said, Patrick Corbin is pitching game 3. So you're hoping that the Rockies can take advantage of that. I think last year the Rockies, they had an opportunity to win the series. However, I think a lot of us remember that game 3. Daniel Bard, where he, I think, walked 3 straight guys in a row. It was just a horrible blown save. That was a horrible game for a lot of us. And so, hopefully a better result. Bullpen stays, the same, stays hot. I feel like the bullpen's been, a little bit better. Fingers crossed. I don't want to jinx anything, but, looking just to play again, decent baseball. Again, you're not really playing for much here. You're playing the Nationals. The Nationals are not making the playoffs either. Just build some confidence, momentum heading into the offseason, because again, we're getting close, folks. I mean, again, of course, this is not a football podcast by any means, but NFL starts in like 3 weeks, so really that's a sign that baseball season is sadly approaching to an end. So really try to build confidence as you head into the off season, and the Rockies, they have stuff to do, especially with that bullpen. You got to get some guys to some anchors in that bullpen to help the Rockies moving forward as we try to build a competing team along with the prospects coming up. So again, should be a fun series. keep an eye on it. I think this is going to be very, very intriguing for both teams, for both Nationals and Rockies. But really, for the Rockies, it's more important, I think, for the Rockies than the Nationals, because again, the Nationals, they're just trying to let the young players play, kind of like the Rockies. But for the Rockies, it's more about can these guys stay? What do we have? And of course, they already know what they have in Tovar, but what can we get out of Andrew Romo, right? He just made his debut this past series, right? What can we get out of Tanner Gordon, or, of course, Blaylock won't be pitching this series, but like we want to see these guys, pitch for the first time, and just how they can translate to the big league level rather than the minor league level. And I will say this too, and of course this guy's not a prospect, but I will say very happy to see Lucas Gilbreth back on the mound for the Rockies. I think his last time he pitched on the mound was back in 2022, and he pitched, I believe, in Game 1 against the Padres, if I'm not mistaken. So that was great to see. So Gilbreth, welcome back. Colorado native, is glad to have another lefty in that bullpen, which the Rockies definitely need, and he's been good. So hopefully that keeps going. Folks, that will do it for tonight's Rockies recap. Thank you so much for staying tuned and staying with us in this late evening, wherever you're at. Again, thank you so much for staying tuned and staying in and listening to our Rockies recap. If you want to watch our Rockies recaps, you can always watch them on our YouTube channel. Go subscribe there if you haven't already. If you're watching on X, thank you so much. Feel free to follow us on X as well. Again, we cover the Rockies on Instagram, Threads, and X, so go follow us there. And again, we're hoping to do a podcast sometime soon. Of course, we have busy schedules, but as soon as we can, we'll come up with a podcast and share that with you. But yeah, in the meantime, we'll call it a night, and we'll talk to you guys after the Rockies and Washington Nationals series coming up later this week. Thank you all again for watching tonight's Rockies Now recap. Thank you again. And as always, go Rockies.